So I'm in the living area, and on the other side of that wall is the dining room. And then we got this large opening here. Somebody had made some changes in the past. Originally, they had a doorway going in here. And then a wall, short wall here. And you can see there was a patch here that went into the dining room, which this is not very wide. So you got a doorway here, a wall about this wide, and then a doorway. That looks pretty closed off. Apparently, they like the idea of open concept to the kitchen. However, I'd rather have it open to the dining room. I think elegant dining room finishings go well with a living room environment. So let me share a few ideas. In today's world, everyone likes open concept, which I like as well. And my initial response was to get rid of this wall completely, from here all the way to the wall. However, with a little investigation, this is not a trussel roof, so this is a load-bearing wall. So I could still remove the entire wall, but you would always see this beam at this depth the whole way. So, since it's not a trusseled roof, you can go up in the attic and install a beam, but that's costly. You could go with a large beam here from there to here. That's doable. However, since I have all this electrical work going on here and on this side of the wall, I might put a small wall right here, have a doorway in there, and then have a larger opening here. I'm also considering doing an arch. So I might do a semi-open concept. So let me give a rough draft of the layout, the way it is now and the way it will be. You're coming up the steps. The wall's in the way. Here's where the original wall was set when they built the house. I'd like to bring it back as far as I can to make this walkway flow a little bit better. And the refrigerator sits behind this, so I'm going to take this back as far as I can. And that will benefit me three different ways. One, the walkway will be a clean shot into the kitchen. Secondly, when you open the refrigerator door, this wall won't be in the way and you'll be able to swing it all the way open. Also, it'll make this area wider. So the flow, you go right into your kitchen. This island will be turned this way, so it's like a galley kitchen through here. Right through here, behind the island, straight into the dining room. And then you got a sliding glass door there with a deck. So whenever I remodel a home, or flip a home, or live and flip, I always try to make something way more than it really is. In this case, you're just improving the visual from your seating area in the living area, looking straight through your dining room, out the sliding glass door to the deck, versus that. Who wants to see a sink full of dirty dishes? Well, look what we have here. A junction box hidden behind drywall. That's a no-no. Against code. Now I know there's power here. These two switches run two different ceiling fans. But I got power here, here. I mean, I'm not even touching them. It's supposed to work like this. Now, if I turn the fan off, it drops out. So I'll have to look into all this. Seems like an awful lot of wires to run some ceiling fans. However, power might be going to somewhere else. But look at this. The sheathing's off. You can see the ground wire right there. That's supposed to be in this box. Another thing, you can tell this is new work. Blue versus yellow down here. That's probably original wiring in boxes when they built the home. So here's the original header for this doorway. You can tell by the color. And then you can see this newer wood for the header heading that way. I'm also doing a project in the basement. And before I finish the ceiling, I wanted to open this up to find out the travel of wires. And they all head to the attic. So it's going to be an easy move. So for starters, I'm going to leave this much wall and then go from there. So what I did is busted an opening here to see where the wires are, because here's the outlet, and then ran my saw right down here and kept peeling it away so I could see not to hit the wires. And from here down there's no wire. It's just paper. Nice. So I've got a receptacle here and one back there. Now this is the power wire feeding this receptacle, and then it continues to the one on this side. So all I gotta do is bring this wire on that side of the 2x4 and mount this box on this side. So before I change the layout, I need to label these wires, and I'll do a separate video on reinstalling these wires. And I have replacement thermostats here. This is a 4-wire system. You could diagnose just by looking at the wire pattern to some extent. Like here, you got 3 blacks together. Well, one's to the unit here. One is going to be powering another thermostat somewhere else, and one's going to the baseboard heat. But determining which one that is, I think what I'm going to do is a bit easier. So I'm just going to chop these off because they're all taped up. So I stick my tester in there, let it beep, and go turn the breaker off. This is where you could use some help. A runner. I've got the breaker off, double check. I'll check the beeper and an outlet to make sure. Confirms my tool is working. Goodbye. Separate all the wires so there's no chance of them touching each other. Turn the breaker on, then we'll determine which wire is power. So you got 110 on each side, 220 wire, power. Got my little label here. Wow, that's messed up. Anyway, power in green. Now I can pull all these wires out of the box and send them up through the attic. Alright. So here's the refrigerator hole, the area where the refrigerator goes. I want to go from there to here. I want the wall to stop here so this door can wrap right around the wall, fully open. 24 inches. And here's the plug for the fridge. It's angled, which is good. I don't need as much clearance, so we'll add 24 plus, let's just say an inch. Give us some breathing room. Well, look at that. 25 is right on this cut. I didn't plan this. Here's 24. I could go 24 because you're going to put a little bit of drywall in here in some corners that might reach 25. So maybe I go 24 and a half. Because I don't mind if that refrigerator is sticking out a little bit. It'll look nice. So here's 24 and a half, 25. Look how much room I gain on this walkway. So here's the 2x4 ready to go in here. And I've already moved these wires over from here to here. I'll just line this 2x4 up with the 25-inch mark right there. Install that. So it appears this comes out perfect. All I did was move the wires over. However, I discovered there's 2 circuits within this box. These 2 wires are on one circuit and this one is on its own. So when you turn the breaker off for these 2, this one's still live, vice versa. So I'm going to change that. I don't like that. They say it will pass code. I don't like it. You go in here to work, you think everything's off, and one of them's still powered up. So I'm going to move a single box over in this area and then have a double for these. Here's an example of the wall being in the way of the door. A little difficult getting to those hot dogs. So here's the 25-inch line. Here's the fridge door, and the door will wrap right around that. So you'll just see this portion of the door from the living area. So I'm getting ready to take out this center section. It's not needed for support because here's the king stud and the jack stud, and the header is supporting the ceiling. So I can remove the center piece. And I made a discovery. The width of this header is larger than this one. I would have at least matched the width of that header, and this is a larger span. So I'm not sure why they did that. Then I made another discovery. It's not even touching the top plate. That's a major code violation. And then on this side, they put a piece of wood in here, a filler, that does come in contact with the plate. So it is working somewhat, but it still doesn't meet code. So I'll check with a straight edge to see if there's any sagging. No air gaps, so we're good. So I'm going to remove this center section and bring it back to the doorway it once was. A little overkill on the nailing. So they're going this way. I'm going to hit from this side. So now I need to support the ceiling joists with a false wall. Then I can remove the headers. And this one I can remove as a whole unit, and it's the width of the doorway, and install it right here for the opening going into the kitchen. Temporary support in place. This nailer here is in place in case one of these gets loose. it doesn't go for a walk and land in your refrigerator, countertop, or window. Before removing this section, I cut the nails top and bottom on this stud, and it's loose. So that'll give you something to compare to when you remove this header, how much things have sagged, if any. Little added support along with the temporary wall to ensure no sagging while I create the new beam. A little bit of rot, dry rot. I don't termites? Nah, come on. I've got a few openings installed. This goes into the kitchen. King stud, jack stud, header, king, jack, jack, header, jack, king. This is going to be a see-through, and then I've got this large opening. But first, I want to bring some electrical down. Mount some boxes. It'll be much easier to do while this wall's not in place. It will also determine where my king stud goes and header for this opening. I've got all the electrical installed. And I moved that thermostat that was here over here because it was a little bit crowded with wiring. And what you do is you take those wires to the attic, which was 3 of them. Install a junction box, lengthen the wires, and then bring it down wherever you like. So by having this king stud loose, it was a whole lot easier installing the boxes, organizing the wires, staples. Now we're ready for the header. So for the header, I've got some 2x10s by 8, and so you want to sight down the board, and you're looking for a crown or a low spot. And if you have a low spot, put the crown up, check both sides. This actually looks good, nice and straight. So what we want to do is build a sandwich. This is OSB board, 1/2 inch. You can use plywood. And then another 2x10 on top. ISO construction adhesive. Get it all nice and even so it's glued. Screwed and nailed. At the moment, I don't have the jack stud in place, so I'm using clamps to rest the header on and then install the jack stud. So I'd like to shed some light on this receptacle box. This is an extra deep box, the width of a 2x4, because I have a lot of wires in the thermostat for the baseboard heat. So what I'm going to do is put a plate on here, because I'm afraid if somebody was to decorate this area and put a long enough screw in, they could penetrate some of these wires. The rest are more tucked in, so I put a nice plate right there to protect that. It has little noogies already in the plate. You just smash it into the wood and then get some flat-headed nails. Roofing nail would be best. So as I'm drywalling, if I happen to hit this plate, that screw is just going to spin and not go in. So let me remove this wall. Let there be drywall. Here's an overview of all the boxes. Looks good. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and if you would like to see the process, how to do the mud work on the corners and the arch, I'll provide a link right here, over there,